Jack Reed was born in a small, quiet town where the hustle and bustle of the city never reached. His family was middle class. His father worked as an accountant, and his mother stayed at home, taking care of the household and his younger sister. Life was comfortable, but Jack always felt like he was destined for more. From a young age, he dreamed of building something that would allow him to break free from the confines of the town and make a name for himself. Jack wasn't particularly gifted in any traditional sense. He didn't have an exceptional talent in sports or the arts. However, he had an insatiable curiosity and a passion for learning. From the moment he was old enough to use a computer, Jack found himself fascinated by the world of technology and business. While his friends spent their afternoons playing video games, Jack read books about successful entrepreneurs, people like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. They became his role models. By the time he finished high school, Jack had made up his mind. He was going to build a business of his own. He didn't know what kind of business yet, but he knew that he had a vision, and nothing was going to stop him from realizing it. Jack's first big venture came right after graduating college. He had no real world experience in business, but he was full of ambition and hope. He took out a loan and invested in his first idea, a digital platform for eco-friendly products. With the rise of sustainable living and eco-conscious consumers, Jack believed this was the future. His business was meant to provide environmentally friendly products that were accessible to everyday people. At first, things seemed to be going well. His website was well designed, the products were good, and the brand message resonated with people. For a short time, sales were growing, and Jack began to think that his dreams were finally within his grasp. But as the months passed, he started facing competition. More companies entered the market, and Jack quickly realized that the digital space was more competitive than he had imagined. His business model, while good, wasn't enough to stand out from the crowd. Without a solid marketing plan, Jack struggled to attract a loyal customer base. He was burning through his savings and his loan, trying everything he could to make the business work. But with each passing day, the mounting pressure began to take its toll. Every step forward seemed to be followed by 2 steps back. Despite his best efforts, Jack's business was failing. The expenses kept rising, the competition kept getting fiercer, and Jack couldn't keep up. He had to make difficult decisions, laying off employees, cutting costs, and eventually shutting down his website. The closure of his business was devastating. Jack had invested everything into this venture: his time, his energy, his savings. The failure felt like a personal betrayal. He had worked day and night, sacrificed his social life, and sacrificed his sense of well-being, all for something that had crumbled beneath him. The weight of his failure was crushing. Jack retreated into himself, avoiding family and friends. He couldn't face the disappointment. He questioned his worth, doubted his abilities, and even wondered if he was cut out for business at all. Months passed, and Jack's depression deepened. He lived in a haze of self-pity, unable to find the motivation to move forward. Every day felt the same. Waking up in the morning, feeling hopeless, going through the motions, and lying to those around him, pretending everything was fine. The shame of failing haunted him. It was during one of these low points that Jack received an unexpected message. It was from Ryan, an old colleague. From his short-lived job at a tech company, Ryan had heard about Jack's business failure and reached out, offering support. They hadn't kept in touch much since Jack left the company, but Ryan had been successful in his own ventures. Ryan invited Jack to grab a coffee, and although hesitant, Jack agreed. They met at a local cafe, and as soon as Ryan walked in, Jack saw something different about him. There was a confidence in his step and a spark in his eyes. Ryan sat down across from him, smiled, and began talking about the challenges he had faced when building his own businesses. Ryan didn't offer Jack any quick fixes or silver bullets. Instead, he shared his own story of failure and resilience. He explained how he had failed multiple times before achieving success. Ryan didn't sugarcoat his experiences. He was honest about his struggles, and in doing so, he gave Jack the permission he needed to confront his own challenges. Ryan said something that stuck with Jack. Failure is just a stepping stone. It's part of the process. If you give up after failing, then you failed for good. But if you learn from it and grow, you've only just begun. Jack was inspired. The wall of self-doubt that had surrounded him for months began to crack. He realized that his failure wasn't the end of his journey. It was just a chapter, and it was time to turn the page. Ryan offered to mentor him, to guide him through the process of rebuilding. Jack accepted, and with newfound hope, he began the long road to recovery. Jack decided that he would start small this time. He wouldn't dive into a big project right away. Instead, he focused on personal development. He read books, attended seminars, and began creating content to share what he was learning. He started a blog where he documented his journey, his challenges, his failures, and his newfound wisdom. As time went on, Jack realized that he wasn't just helping himself, he was helping others too. His blog gained traction and people began reaching out for advice. Jack started creating online courses and coaching materials based on what he had learned during his journey. Slowly but surely, his reputation as a business mentor grew. Over the years, Jack's business transformed. What started as a humble blog turned into a full-fledged business coaching platform. He helped entrepreneurs from all walks of life navigate the challenges of starting and growing their own businesses. Jack had learned to embrace the lessons from his own failure, and he now had a deeper understanding of what it truly took to succeed. Jack's reputation as a mentor continued to grow. He spoke at conferences, published books, and became a sought-after figure in the world of business. His story was one of redemption, and people connected with his authenticity. As Jack stood on the stage one day, looking out over the crowd of aspiring entrepreneurs, he realized something. His failure had been the greatest gift of all. It had taught him resilience, determination, and the power of never giving up. And now he was using those lessons to change lives. Jack's journey wasn't just about business success, it was about personal growth, learning from failure, and empowering others to achieve their dreams. As Jack's business began to flourish, he found himself in an unfamiliar position for the first time in years. Things were looking up, but with success came new challenges, and Jack quickly realized that the road to success was never without its obstacles. One of the first hurdles he encountered was managing the growth of his new coaching business. What started as a small venture with a few clients quickly expanded into a larger operation requiring more staff, resources, and systems. Jack was overwhelmed with the logistics and administrative side of things. He had always been the visionary, the dreamer, but now he had to wear the hat of a manager and a leader. Ryan, his mentor, noticed Jack's struggle and offered some crucial advice. You can't do everything yourself, Jack. Delegate. Surround yourself with people who complement your skills. Focus on what you do best and let others take care of the rest. Jack took Ryan's advice to heart and began hiring a team people who could handle the operational side of the business while he focused on the big picture. He hired a marketing expert to help build his brand, a sales manager to handle client relationships, and an operations manager to streamline processes. As the team grew, Jack began to see how crucial it was to have a strong support system around him. The next challenge came when Jack began to scale his business internationally. He received requests from entrepreneurs in other countries who wanted to take part in his coaching programs. The demand was overwhelming, and Jack knew he had to adapt his services to A global market. This required additional investments in technology, marketing strategies tailored to different cultures, and a team that could support clients across different time zones. But it wasn't just the logistical challenges that Jack faced. With success came expectations. People saw him as the man who had turned his life around, the one who had gone from failure to triumph. And while this was a position of respect, it also came with pressure. Jack had to ensure he delivered on the promises he made to his clients, and that pressure sometimes felt suffocating. One night, after a particularly difficult meeting with his team, Jack sat alone in his office. The weight of the world seemed to settle on his shoulders. He wondered if he had bitten off more than he could chew. His thoughts wandered back to the days of his previous failure. What if it happened again? What if he wasn't capable of handling the immense responsibility that came with success? But then he remembered something that Ryan had told him early on. You will face challenges. The bigger the dream, the bigger the obstacles. But remember, you are the sum of the obstacles you overcome. It's never about avoiding failure. It's about growing stronger from it. That night, Jack took a deep breath and decided to confront his fears. He wasn't the same man who had walked away from his first business. He had learned, adapted, and grown. He would handle these new challenges the same way, one step at a time. As Jack continued to build his empire, he began to realize that his journey had been more than just about business. His personal growth had been just as important as his professional achievements. Jack had learned to become more resilient, more focused, and more patient with himself. But there was still something missing: his sense of balance. He had spent so many years chasing success that he had neglected other areas of his life. His relationships with family and friends had suffered, and he often found himself too caught up in work to spend quality time with those he loved. He had a strained relationship with his father, who had always been supportive but never fully understood Jack's entrepreneurial dreams. His mother, who had passed away years ago, had always been Jack's biggest cheerleader. And then there was Emily, his childhood friend, who had been by his side through thick and thin. Yet they had grown apart as Jack became consumed by his ambition. Jack realized that in his quest for success, he had neglected the people who mattered most. It was time to make a change. One weekend, Jack decided to visit his father's house. For the first time in months, as he drove up the familiar, winding road to his father's cottage, memories of his childhood flooded his mind. He hadn't been back in a while, but today felt different. Today, he wanted to reconnect. When his father answered the door, Jack was Surprised by how much older he looked, they hugged, and Jack could feel the years of missed moments between them. They sat down at the kitchen table, and Jack told his father about his journey, about the struggles, the failures, and the successes. As his father listened intently, Jack realized something important. Success wasn't just about building a business, it was about creating meaningful relationships and cherishing the connections that matter. Jack had spent so much time building his career that he had forgotten the importance of family and personal relationships. His father, with his quiet wisdom, had always been there, waiting for Jack to come back into his life. They spent the afternoon talking, laughing, and sharing stories. Jack left his father's house that evening with a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that success wasn't just about business, it was about finding balance and nurturing the people who loved you. As Jack's business continued to thrive, he started thinking about the impact he could have beyond just his clients. He had been fortunate enough to turn his life around, and now he wanted to help others do the same. He launched a foundation aimed at supporting young entrepreneurs who didn't have the resources to pursue their dreams. Jack knew what it felt like to struggle, to fail, and to be on the verge of giving up. Through his foundation, he offered mentorship, scholarships, and resources to aspiring business owners who needed guidance. It was through this work that Jack found true fulfillment. He met countless young people who had faced adversity just like he had, and he saw their potential. He spent time helping them navigate the challenges of entrepreneurship, providing advice and sharing his own story. But more importantly, he listened to them. He understood their struggles, their fears, and their dreams. The more Jack gave back, the more he realized how powerful his story was. He had transformed his own life, and now he was helping others transform theirs. The work gave him a sense of purpose that no amount of business success could ever match. Jack had come full circle from failure to success, and now he was using his experiences to make a difference in the lives of others. Years passed, and Jack's business continued to grow, but the real success, he realized, wasn't in the amount of money he made or the accolades he received. It was in the lives he touched along the way. He had become a mentor, a guide, and a source of inspiration for countless people who had faced the same challenges he once did. One day, Jack stood in front of a group of aspiring entrepreneurs, delivering a speech at a conference. As he looked out over the audience, he realized something important. His journey had come full circle. He had gone from being a lost dreamer to a successful mentor, and now he was passing the torch to the next generation. His story was no longer just about him, it was about the people he had helped, the lives he had impacted, and the legacy he had built. Jack had learned that failure wasn't the end. It was simply the beginning of a new chapter. And through his struggles, he had discovered what truly mattered: the power of resilience, the strength of community, and the ability to transform not just your life, but the lives of others as well. Jack Reed had finally found what he had been searching for all along: true success, not measured by wealth, but by the positive impact he had on the world. Jack Reed had finally found what he had been searching for all along: true success, not measured by wealth, but by the positive impact he had on the world. The last few years had been a whirlwind for Jack. His coaching business had become a multi-million-dollar empire. His mentorship programs were transforming the lives of young entrepreneurs, and he was finally at peace with his relationship with his father. Yet, despite all his success, Jack found himself at a crossroads. His passion for business remained strong, but there was a part of him that longed for something deeper. He was no longer motivated by money or fame. Instead, he felt a strong pull to give back to society in a more meaningful way. Jack had always been someone who worked tirelessly to achieve his goals, but now he was questioning whether his current path was truly his purpose. One evening, while sitting in his office, overlooking the bustling city, Jack had an epiphany. He had spent his entire life focusing on success, climbing the corporate ladder, and achieving his dreams. But now he realized that true fulfillment came not from success, but from purpose. It wasn't about building a brand or making money. It was about having a positive impact on the world around him. He immediately started brainstorming new ideas that would allow him to give back on a larger scale. After weeks of reflection and planning, Jack decided to launch a social enterprise focused on supporting underprivileged communities. His goal was to create a platform that helped disadvantaged individuals start their own businesses, just as he had once done. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he was ready for the challenge. This new mission gave Jack the clarity he had been searching for. The launch of his social enterprise was met with tremendous support, both from the public and from his business network. Jack's goal was simple: create opportunities for those who lacked access to the resources and guidance he once had. He partnered with charities, government organizations, and community leaders to create a program that would provide education, mentorship, and funding for aspiring entrepreneurs from underserved backgrounds. Jack's team began organizing workshops and seminars where young people could learn essential business skills, financial literacy, and marketing strategies. The program also included one-on-one mentorship, where Jack and other successful entrepreneurs would guide the participants through the early stages of launching their businesses. He was deeply moved by the passion and determination of the individuals he worked with, many of whom had never considered the possibility of entrepreneurship. Due to their circumstances, Jack's social enterprise quickly grew, reaching hundreds of people in various cities as he witnessed the transformation of countless lives. He realized that his decision to focus on purpose over profit was one of the most rewarding decisions he had ever made. He had found a deeper meaning in his work, one that wasn't measured by monetary success, but by the lasting impact he had on others. But as with any new venture, there were challenges. Many of the participants in his program had to overcome obstacles, such as lack of education, limited resources, and societal expectations. The road was difficult, and Jack often found himself stretched thin, juggling the demands of his growing business and his new social initiative. Despite his successes, Jack still faced moments of doubt and personal challenges. His relationship with Emily, his childhood friend, had remained distant for years, and he felt the weight of the time they had lost. Emily had always been a constant in his life, and Jack realized that, in his pursuit of success, he had neglected their friendship. One day, he decided to reach out to her. They met for coffee at a quiet cafe, and Jack couldn't help but feel a sense of nervous anticipation. Emily was the one person who had always been there for him, even during his lowest points. But Jack knew he had hurt her by pulling away all those years ago. As they sat across from each other, Jack opened up about his journey, the struggles, the setbacks, and the eventual triumph. He explained how much he had changed, how he had rediscovered his passion for giving back, and how he wanted to be more present in the lives of those who mattered most. Emily listened quietly, and when Jack finished speaking, she finally spoke. "I'm proud of you, Jack. You've come a long way. But remember, success isn't just about what you do for others. It's about what you do for the people who love you, too." Her words struck a chord with Jack. He realized that in his pursuit of greatness, he had neglected the very people who had helped him become who he was. Emily's forgiveness was a turning point for Jack. He vowed to make time for the important relationships in his life and to never lose sight of the people who had always been there for him. Years passed, and Jack's social enterprise continued to grow, touching the lives of thousands. His coaching business flourished, but his true fulfillment came from the work he was doing to empower others. He had built a legacy of hope, resilience, and transformation, not just for himself, but for the countless people who had benefited from his mentorship and guidance. Looking back on his journey, Jack felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had overcome failure, experienced personal growth, and found true purpose in life. But more than anything, he had learned the importance of giving, not just of material wealth, but of time, love, and wisdom. One evening, while reflecting on his achievements, Jack received a message from one of his first mentees, a young woman named Maria. She had started her own business through Jack's program and had now become a successful entrepreneur. In her message, she thanked Jack for believing in her when no one else did. Her words brought tears to Jack's eyes as he realized the true power of his work. As he sat there reading the message, Jack knew this was what it was all about. Success wasn't just about making money, it was about making a difference. And in that moment, he felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment, knowing that his legacy would live on in the lives of the people he had helped. Jack Reed had come a long way from the man who once feared failure. He had transformed his own life, and in doing so, had transformed the lives of others. His journey was proof that no matter how difficult the path may seem, with resilience, purpose, and a commitment to helping others, anyone could go from failure to success.